You're listening to Galaxy of Film. All right, and welcome back to the Brain-ups of Galaxy of Film. I am, of course, your host, Max, and stepping into the co-host role this week is none other than our man, Will Kish. How are you doing, bro?
Hey man, I've been doing pretty good. I've been watching a lot of movies this week,
Yeah, what have you
including
watched
what
this
we're.
week?
Well, I just watched Kinds of Kindness, the new Yorgos Lanthimos movie. I really liked it. It's another one of his weird weird movies. And then I've also watched like Sandlot, Independence Day. Watched some old school B movie 50s stop motion monster movies this week.
Nice.
Been really diving into that stuff. Yeah, I've been keeping myself busy watching that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Nice, and spoiler alert for the episode.
Well, I assume they read the title before they click on it. So
You'd assume so, man. You'd assume, but only the best here, Galaxy of Film.
Mhm.
Like you mentioned, we are, of course, discussing none other than the Sandlot Independence Day this week for the 4th of July. It, of course, is our Independence Day special this year around. But we are not alone, thankfully, man. Thankfully not. We got some special guest stars this week and a very special guest star as well. First up, I want to go ahead and take a chance to go ahead and reintroduce the man, the myth, the legend himself, Chris Sorrentino. How are you doing, brother?
Hey, how's it going? I'm happy to be back. Galaxy of Film. This is one of my favorite hangs. I'm happy to be on this episode. This is going to be a very fun one.
Absolutely, dude. I'm glad to get you on here as well. For our viewers out there who are watching this episode, you may recognize Chris as well for being the gas station clerk in my film Goonies and Agony. If you have not watched this film already, link down below. Check it out. Chris gives a fantastic performance in this one. And
I
dude,
love that scene so much. It's great.
Thanks, yeah. That's all Max's direction, man. His writing and direction. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Is still the proudest scene of my career so far, dude. I adore that gas station scene to
All
death.
right. Wait till we do a porno.
Yeah.
It's gonna be even better achievement.
Yeah, crazy enough. But speaking of, when we promoted the movie, we did it with the porn star. Beautiful, man. Full
Yes,
circle
yeah.
moment when that
Yeah.
happens. Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. And what's even funnier, man, now that we're here discussing the Sandlot this week, of course, I'll totally never forget, after we wrapped filming Goonies that evening, as we're back in my house smoking on the couch eating pizza, we were shooting the shit talking about the Sandlot and Stand By Me and just coming of age movies. So it's nice and this kind of comes together perfectly.
Yeah, to me, it's in that fold of amazing nostalgic movies that are like, it's like a weird bygone nostalgia that I didn't have. I grew up in the 80s. I was born in the late 70s. I grew up in the 80s, but like Stand By Me, the Sandlot, Christmas Story. It falls into that where I wasn't alive at those times, but I could feel that same nostalgia because they're just gems of movies that are coming of age movies that just relate to everybody. I don't know. Just
Absolutely, dude.
amazing.
Absolutely. We keep putting
Proud to
things
be
out
here.
there in the universe. We just keep making it happen, man. We keep it. And like we
magic
mentioned
ones.
like a year ago almost, when you're giving me crap for not seeing Jaws, we got a special Jaws episode lined up for this October.
Yes, we
finally.
do. Yep, I'll be co-hosting that one. Or
Yeah,
hosting that one.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, only the best here, Galaxy Film. We
Mhm.
gotta love it when things work out for us,
Mhm.
actually.
But when a plan comes together.
Finally, yeah, right. But we also got Michaela from Drink the Movies. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Of course. We got you on here a few weeks ago talking some Mad Max with us with Fury Road and Furiosa,
Yeah.
a Mad Max saga. But then also you and I had a chance to meet up too a couple weeks ago, right before Brian and I recorded the Greg Sestero episode discussing Best Friends in Miracle Valley. So that was dope. Real quick
Yeah.
turnaround for that one, actually. Usually it's like
Yeah.
a year long before I meet someone, though. We skipped right to it with you.
I leaned that right out, I mean, I take no prisoners. We figured it out real quick.
Love it, love it. So what's going on with you, Michaela? Anything new and exciting going on?
Gosh. It's summer. And so all the summer movies, Inside Out 2 has taken over my life. You know, it's and we're talking about some of the greatest summer movies ever today, right? Like The Sandlot. It's something that we watch in my house. I don't know, 400 times a year, probably every time, because every season, like I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, so we can have baseball all year, and it's like the thing. So every beginning of a season, every end of a season, in the summer, you know, the pool scene, you know what I'm talking about. That's my 9-year-old is real excited about, you know.
I love him.
Yeah. So I promised I would not fangirl, but I'm super excited about our special guest, because it's just super neat to be able to like talk about a movie that means so much to, you know, all of us collectively with a person that was like there, and it came from their brain and all of that. So that's super excited. So I'm really honored. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's funny you mentioned, because for our listeners, for one reason, if you don't know, for some reason, I'm also in North Carolina, Raleigh. Pure coincidence that me and Michaela are just so close to each other. It's kind of weird, but it works out. But baseball is here all the time. I was never exposed to baseball like that. My exposure to baseball was Wii Sports and The Sandlot. So,
hey, you got to start somewhere. I mean, it's not like, I mean, you've met me. Clearly, my body is not meant to be any type of sport. Okay, I was a fat theater chick from birth. All right, but but at the same time, you know, the baseball movies are almost better than the actual sport, because it's the love of the game and it's the camaraderie and it's getting into the big pickles, right? Because that always happens. It's really good. It's good.
Yeah.
Baseball movies are almost better than the actual sport. I can say that with conviction.
A lot of sport movies are like that, especially Cool Runnings. I couldn't tell you who gets excited over bobsledding. Really,
I can't stand golf, and Caddyshack is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Absolutely.
There you go. There you go.
That's beautiful. But I want to go ahead and take a second to introduce our very special guest star this week. We actually have the writer and director himself of The Sandlot, David Mickey Evans. Welcome to Galaxy of Film, and how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, and thanks for having me on, guys. This is great.
Of course. It's a pleasure to get you on here.
Absolutely.
Ooh, so how are you, real quick? Tell us a little bit about yourself and your career, if you don't mind. Are you staying cool in this hot summer heat as well? What's going on with you in your life?
Yeah, I live on an island in an undisclosed location on the coast of Florida.
Nice.
Right now, I don't know. I guess the eastern part of the United States is getting a bit of a heat wave, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
We're getting cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's about, I think the feel like is 103 here today, something like that.
Oh,
But I love it. I mean, I love the heat, the humidity. I'm one of those weirdos that just digs it, you know.
All right.
But a lot of people, they run for you know, any store that's open that has AC, I suppose, or, you know, their car or whatever. So I'm loving the weather. I look forward to it all year long. I mean, I don't like the cold at all, you know, and it can get pretty. They never told me that when I moved here. They didn't put it in the memo, you know, that it gets, you know. Oh, by the way, what are we rated on this show?
Oh, I mean, we're rated R, I guess. Rated R, E for everyone if you're old enough.
Okay. Like really cold, you know, at like 20 degrees. So, yeah. So anyway, that's that. My career, such as it is, I started out a lot. It doesn't seem like such a long time ago, but you know, it's more than 30 years now that I've been around. I guess one of the nicest things anybody ever called me in the movie industry was a survivor.
Oh,
so nobody thrives in Hollywood. You survive at best. And, you know, some better than others. And you know, I've been around a long time, and I've done a lot of projects that I'm really I'm proud of. You know, The Sandlot is probably number one, and some that you know, like all of us, it was a job. You know, we still try to do our best, but you know, you can only do your best with what they give you. So there's been moments like that, but other than that, you know, I'm still writing, still working, still directing. I've got I don't know, I'm probably not allowed to announce it yet, but there is another iteration of The Sandlot.
Ooh.
Just got the nod.
Oh,
nice.
And I've had, when I originally wrote it, back in the day, actually with Robert Gunner, the idea was there was going to be 6 of them, and they happened every decade on the same Sandlots: 62, 72, 82, 92.
That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, right. It's a different group of kids.
Yeah, like an anthology. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got to do that once, 12 years or more after the Sandlot came out, with the Sandlot 2, which was still to this day. I mean, a lot of people don't like that movie, but a lot of people do, because it's the #1 family live action movie, direct to DVD of all time.
Oh no shit.
So that was actually, 2 was what I intended to do for #2. And then, as studios often do, they suddenly believe that they have the magic, the magic feather, and they can do all this stuff. And then they did the Sandlot 3, which I had absolutely nothing to do with. Then, years and years later, as the 20th anniversary, the 25th, and now the 30th anniversary have come, and all of the love for the movie, every one of those 5-year increments, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, for the 30th, we went out to the actual land in Glendale, Utah, which is inside Salt Lake City, where we shot the picture. And the state of Utah, and Marshall Moore, who used to be the film commissioner, is a great guy. We did a what do you call it? Sort of a Sandlot experience thing. Big 3 screens out there. They sold, I don't know, a couple of thousand tickets, and 10,000 people showed up.
Oh wow! Okay,
nice.
That's awesome.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Dave. For the 25th, I had taken my family. I have 2 sons. I had taken them to see it at the Alamo Draft House. They did one of the parties where they did awesome. Like chili dogs, and like we got hats, and it was cool. It was a blast, and it was cool to see it in the theater with my 2 sons.
Oh my God! Right? Yeah. I've seen it on video a billion times, but I actually saw. We did a charity screening down where I live. Have 500,000 people or whatever, but we got to project it anamorphic, which is how I shot it, which is super widescreen, right? 2, 3.
Yeah.
And, it is just a whole different experience when you sit there with a bunch of people and watch it the way it was intended. I mean, there's a reason I shot it widescreen. 9 kids in one shot. It's tough to get that on 6x9.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we got to do that. It was quite awesome. And what was the question? I've gone down a rabbit hole. I have no idea where I am.
It was just discussing your career for a second. That's awesome to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're doing another iteration, something brand new with the Sandlot. I'm totally stoked about.
That's awesome.
You'll probably be hearing about that fairly soon. That, and I've got a couple of television shows, streaming shows that got picked up.
Okay.
One that's based on my brother's book that he wrote about our lives. And once we talk about the Sandlot, he's the reason I wrote the Sandlot, because he's the kid that went over the fence in real life.
Oh, really? Okay.
Wow.
That was something I definitely wanted to talk about, was how I've read that the film was inspired by some real events.
Yeah, absolutely was. So anyway, I wrote a book about our childhood and our lives called The King of Pacoima, which became the movie Radio Flyer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great flick as well.
So he wrote a book from his perspective called Pacoima Days, and we turned that into a streaming series. Talk about nostalgic. Wow, man, that one's going to be really nostalgic. So, we got that. I've got a picture about Coach Ed Thomas, who was a great football coach in Parkersburg, Iowa in 2009, that got murdered by a former student. I mean, that sounds terrible, and it is, but it's a really uplifting movie about forgiveness and stuff. So I do that, and, ride my bike. Work on my yard.
That's awesome, man. I love to hear that some of this was inspired by true events too. And I've talked about this in the podcast before, and Chris, you and I have gone to great detail about this in particular. But like coming of age films, they, for whatever reason, man, they just speak to me. I love them.
Me too. They hit me.
like
hard.
they do, man. They're perfect, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll get into it, of course. But like the Sandlot to me is timeless. Stand by Me, of course, like we mentioned earlier. But like
Yeah.
I'm a filmmaker myself, and I just finished writing my first feature length script a couple months ago. It's very much inspired by the Sandlot. It's a piece called Brotherhood. It's all about my life, my late teenage years as a 17, 18-year-old. And I mean, like this, the whole time as I'm writing this film, I always just had the Sandlot in the back of my mind for it. So it's great to hear that some of like actual real life influences were coming into these things too, and how deeply personal it is. I love that. But before we kind of dive into the Sandlot as well, I do want to go ahead and say I think it's severely underrated. But I also do love a little film you worked on a couple of years ago too. I believe in 2009, if I'm not mistaken, called Ace Ventura: Pet Detective Jr. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was a hoot. We made that one for $2 in 2 days. It was like an absolutely impossible,
Mhm.
ask. It's like do Ace Ventura Jr. and make it, as funny as Jim Carrey. Good luck.
Yeah.
I had that the young actor Josh Flitter, who's still a buddy to this day,
Mhm.
is and I worked with a lot of really smart people. He's one of the only true comedic geniuses I've ever worked for.
Really?
13 years old. No, that kid's mind is light speed. He's
Cool.
amazing mind. I had this a similar experience with Sinbad when I worked with him, the comic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people like him, and some people, he's not their cup of tea or whatnot. But I'll tell you what, that guy's head, his brain works, just so much faster than the rest of us. It's something to behold, and it's fantastic to get to work with it because it makes you look really good.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Makes the job easier, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, let's kind of go ahead and dive straight into the Sandlot then, guys. First up, I want to go ahead and kind of dive into this too, like, and ask you guys when the first time you guys watched this movie. Now, Will, obviously we're like the youngest ones here. We're around on the same age group in our early 20s, mid 20s. For me, I think I saw this around like six or earlier, possibly on a super early DVD copy. Um, and I fell in love with this. Like I remember watching this in like my parents' minivan on a portable DVD player kind of thing.
I just had that memory today. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I remember like on a vacation, like we had this long road trip and we had like a VHS, like the TV, like in the car, and we had a bunch of VHS that we'd put in there, and I think one of them was The Sandlot, and I remember
Okay.
watching that movie like a lot when I was a kid. They're
Yeah,
definitely
okay.
very, very similar. Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not alone in that. People looked at me weird for mentioning a portable DVD player, man. That was the whole
Oh
era.
yeah, me too.
That was a
Yeah,
great era.
I always the portable DVD player and just bringing around, lugging around an actual VHS like TV sometimes too, like during trips. That yeah.
Yeah, of course, man. Throw it back in
Yeah.
the trunk.
Mhm.
Chris, when was
Yeah.
the first time you watched The Sandlot? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Well, okay, so Sandlot came out in 93. I would have been 15.
Okay.
So I didn't see it in the theater. I'd seen it on VHS. I think it was kind of like at that age, like I'm not really going to the movies as much, you know what I mean? Like I got no money, I'm 15, I don't have a job yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like me and my friends are hanging out, but like we don't have movie money. So I definitely saw it on VHS whenever the hell it came out in VHS.
Okay.
But yeah, and then that's it. And then like I said, it's passed it on to my kids. It's like a staple. Like I said, it's a 4th of July. Every 4th of July, it's Jaws and The Sandlot. Like, that's what we watch around here. Yeah.
There you go. Mention that
Honestly,
shark again.
those two movies they're very similar actually in a lot of ways. What do you think about it?
Yeah, the beast. Yeah.
They're getting the ball back, and the shark just wants another human.
Yeah. Yeah.
This October, I'll understand that reference, guys. This October.
Mhm.
Guy, I swear to God.
You'll never stop giving me crap for that, Chris.
Are there a couple of big Jaws documentaries, competing ones coming out?
I
Oh,
think
Oh,
so.
yeah?
So yeah.
Yeah. It's like you say, it's like around the time it was released and all that sort of thing. I
Yeah.
don't know if
Oh,
one of
cool.
them's on Netflix and one of them's on Amazon, but it would be really cool if that was true. You know,
Mm,
I could tune
Yeah.
it out. Oh, well, I'm
Mm.
gonna watch both of them though. You got it.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm watching both of them. I watch all of them. I don't care.
Oh,
I
for
love
sure.
it.
Well,
And Michaela, what about you? When was the first time you watched The Sandlot? Do you remember this?
Oh yeah. I definitely saw it in the theater because
Okay.
I love films, right? And like I said, I have nothing else to do. I wasn't playing baseball, that's for darn sure. So and I was 12, so I probably had to beg my dad to take me or something because I wasn't able to go myself. But I had a really great babysitting gig. You
Mhm.
know, I was one of those kids who were like, I made no money. You pay me $2 an hour. I watch all 17 of your children and you could go party. You know, it was the 90s. What are you going to do? And so this was great because this was a film that like I knew. It wasn't like, no offense to anybody, you know, it wasn't The Brave Mr. Toaster. It wasn't Barney, you know, Barney was big. This was a film that when it came out
Mhm.
on VHS, I was like, I know it. I like it. It doesn't suck. Let's watch it as a, you know, let's bring the kids. I'll make the popcorn. It was great. So I spent a lot of time watching this movie. And then I had my own kid who loves baseball, and I'll never forget it. It was like 4 years ago, and it was on Netflix or something, right? It was on one of the streaming, and my son was like, "What is this? It's a baseball movie," and I was like, "This is amazing." It was literally like this generational moment where you like, I remember this film, and you
Mhm.
know, I mean, I've shown my kid Jaws as well, so he's got one on you, Max. I don't understand this Jaws thing, but like you know, I felt like a good parent in this
Mhm.
moment rather than like the bad parent where I was like, here's Jaws and here's this cool scene that, you know, with Steven Spielberg. I was like, this is a great movie and it's age appropriate. Good on me. Awesome. And so we watched it together. And now, I mean, it's a thing. I mean, I'm not kidding. We probably watch it once a month. It's so great. I love it so
Wow.
much, and he loves it so much. And I gotta say, when I said I was asked to come and be on this, he was like, "This is the cool. You're gonna see this. You're gonna see him. That's so awesome because it's the voice, right? You do the voice, so it's like it's so cool."
yeah.
Yeah. So I've had a lot of time to think about why I like this film and why it's kind of this underground legend. I think I don't know if I'd call it a cult classic in the sense that it that makes it sound much darker. But I think it's this for people that are my age that have kids. It's like this really cool coming full circle moment that it creates where you liked it. It was entertaining. It was entertaining to you as a child. And then as an adult viewer, it's also entertaining. I mean, sure, there are moments where you're like, all right, you really could have just gone and like gotten the ball. You could have just asked for the ball. But as a kid,
Yeah.
like it's so impressive upon you where it's like, no, there's no way you could do that because the beast would kill you. You would be, I mean, forever, right? Like into
Forever.
forever. I mean, it's really neat because as an adult, you know, all these new kid movies come out and you watch them and you're seeing it as an adult and you're not seeing it with the same eyes. So this created a really beautiful experience for me as a viewer because I grew up with it and I got to also like watch my kid enjoy it
Mhm.
and I got to experience it as an adult. And so there's only, you know, as a viewer ages, right? There's only a certain number of films that kind of fit into that pocket for them where they get to see it and they get to experience it as an adult as well. So
That's beautiful. I didn't know you were such a big fan of this thing. I love it.
oh dude, you told me you texted and you were like, hey, and I was like, I'm in, I'm so in, it's happening, I'm doing it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Dave, I have a bit of a different question for you. Obviously, it's a bit biased because you're behind the camera, you're watching all this being made, so it's kind of a little ridiculous to ask when's the first time you watched this necessarily. But being a filmmaker myself, being a writer myself, you know, I definitely understand that these stories take a long time to be developed. The film I mentioned, Brotherhood, you know, I'm 24 now. I began writing that 13, which is crazy. I just finally finished my first draft for it. I'm curious for you, when did you start working on the script for The Sandlot originally? Like, how long did it take until this script was ready for you to film?
Um, I started thinking about it on the ride home from getting fired off of Radio Flyer as the director.
Oh,
So yeah, I sold Radio Flyer, broke the records in Hollywood for spec screenplays, and I insisted I was going to direct it. It was at the same time Goober and Peters were leaving or had left Warner Brothers and took over Columbia because Sony had purchased them and all that. And then that war between Sony or Goober and Peters and Warner Brothers, that war was very intense.
mm.
And those guys were trying to take every overall deal that Warner Brothers had and all that sort of thing. So I got the job. Richard Donner, God rest his soul, wanted to direct Radio Flyer, but I wanted to direct Radio Flyer. So I took an offer from Columbia, then Sony, and they put me in the chair for 8 days. On the 8th day, of course, they fired me, right? Because people were just throwing money around Hollywood at that time. And then the movie went to Richard Donner, who wanted to direct it initially. So but the day they fired me, I'll never forget. It was at Lake Hollywood, where we were doing a scene, and Michael Douglas came over because he was a producer at the time on the picture. He says, "Oh, I got to let you go." And I said, "All right, can I get a ride home?" You know, and so they gave me a Teamster who drove me home. And on the way home, I remember this incident from my childhood where my brother went over a wall to get a baseball, because we were real poor kids. And in those days, if you had a baseball, you had a baseball. You didn't have a bucket of baseball. And so you had to get the baseball back if you wanted to play. So anyway, these mean kids down at the end of the block, they never let us play. But for some reason, my brother was down there without me, and they said, "Go get the ball, and you can play with us." So he did. And that came back into my head as I was ignominiously being driven home from, the slaughter of being fired off my first studio directing gig. And by the time I got home, I had the first paragraph in my head, and I had all their names. And I wrote, the original title was not The Sandlot, it was The Boys of Summer. So I typed that, wrote that first paragraph, and probably a little less than 6 weeks later, I had the script done.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
There was like 2 polishes, and that was it. Nothing else after that.
Much quicker turnaround than myself. I'm impressed.
Yeah. Again, it was a different kind of time in Hollywood, man. It was like the Wild West with money and stuff, and it's like, no one would hire me after I got fired off Radio Flyer, because there was this really concerted effort to make sure no one would, because if I went and made another picture and it was a hit, like The Sandlot, a lot of people were going to have egg on their faces. And they're going to get asked, "Well, why'd you fire him off that other picture?" And it took a while, but I found one guy in Hollywood, Mark Berg, who would buy it and give me the directing gig. I mean, I got, offers for that script that were astronomical, as long as I'd step aside. And, I wrote it for me to direct. One, it's all my, background, childhood memories and such, but it was also really contained. Radio Flyer had a ton of locations and such in it. I learned a lot of valuable lessons. It's like a little amount of money, few locations. You can't move around a lot. You got to make a hub, so to speak, filmmaking wise. And I wrote it like that, specifically with that in mind. And I wasn't going to let it go, without having a crack at directing it. And when I did get the job, I was also allowed to hire whoever I wanted.
Oh, there you go.
They wouldn't let me hire anybody I wanted. They gave people to me, including cast, DP, heads of departments. They stuffed it full, the conspiracy that it was. Anyway, point being, it was really satisfying too when we got done with the picture. And the first time I ever saw the picture was in an editing room in Burbank. The editing room was sweltering hot, portable AC that didn't work too well. It was crazy. And, at that time we still worked on film, so we had chem flatbeds and that kind of thing. Moviolas, my God, what's a moviola, right? Yeah, it's old school.
Right.
But I went through film school. I was probably if not the last, close to the last class of film students that went through film school learning on moviolas with honest to God, celluloid film and chem editing beds and stuff. And I mean, even the second and third movies I did, I think we still shot them on film. But everything was cut digitally by that time, but the Sandlot, yeah. So that's when I first saw it, was on a chem.
Gosh, that's beautiful to hear, actually.
Yeah. So how did that feel, like watching that cut come together and this very personal story?
Total relief. I'll never forget the moment when the end went by, and we had all this temp music in it, which was quite good, and it worked really, really well. Danny Schweiger, who's one of the best temp music dudes in the world, did it for me. And Mike Stevenson, who's retired now, but he cut it for me. He was the perfect guy to cut the picture. He was older than me at the time. Well, he's still older than me. But I mean, at that time I was, I don't know, 28, 29, something like that. And Mike was probably in his 40s or 50s. So this was his time. I mean, I was born in 62. I wasn't, the age of the kids in the Sandlot in 62. But there's a reason that it takes place in 1962 that's not in the film. They made me cut it out, and it's one of those 2 or 3 things that if I ever get a chance to do a director's cut, are you listening, Fox, Disney? And that I'll put them back in, these scenes.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the first time I saw it. And the first time I ever saw it in the theater was probably at the Bruin in Westwood, California, down there near UCLA and all that. And it was rough. It was a rough cut, and it wasn't even a conform neg. It was just dailies cut together, and that was pretty incredible as well, because they stuffed the seats. The place was absolutely standing room only, and I watched the audience watch the movie, and they got excited where they were supposed to, where I intended them to, laughed when I intended them to, laughed a bunch of times. I didn't know they were going to laugh, which, you immediately start taking credit for that shit. That's absolutely what I meant.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
It was a super high moment, man. I mean, I knew, you mentioned Star Wars. Listen, I'm the biggest Star Wars fan that ever lived. I mean, I don't have a bunch of figurines and shit. I wish I did, right? What I do have, though? I have one of the original color picture books, photograph books that they gave out.
No.
In 1977, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is amazing.
My brother's got his as well from the Americana 6 in Panorama City, California. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's worth, but it's right over here, man. Under lock.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and when I saw that at 13 years old, 14 years old, I was like, from the first shot, here comes, the fucking battleship cruiser. And I was like, I don't know what that is. I don't know how they do that, but I want to do that. And, you add that up. Somebody, was it Chris you mentioned about stop action stuff? Were you watching a lot of Harryhausen?
Oh, it was me. Yeah. I've been doing a marathon of all the Willis O'Brien and Ray Harryhausen films. I love those movies to death.
Those were my childhood, dude. Sinbad.
I just watched that one.
Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, Jason the Argonauts. You name it. I was an absolute. But then when I saw Star Wars, it was this giant leap. It was still the same technology, but it was just such a giant leap. It was the infancy of mocap, motion capture, and all that, which I used a little bit in Radio Flyer. And now, of course, you can shoot an entire movie on a frickin' stage with, 20K monitors. You can't tell you're not really in a desert. Give me a desert. Give me a rainforest. Give me downtown Toronto. It doesn't matter. Boom, it's up there. It is. But in those days,
volume.
yeah,
Oh,
man,
God,
it was just it was all of that stuff, and so Star Wars really made me want to do that, you know. And I watched The Mandalorian. I never had, and so many people told me it was so good. So I bought Disney Plus. And I got ESPN and Hulu, and I was like, oh, cool. And I started watching The Mandalorian, and I'm like, there's no way this thing is going to be as good. You know, I was there, man. I was there in '77.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
I
can't.
started watching it, man, and I was like, oh shit, it's 7 a.m. again. You know, watching it, and I was enthralled. You know, and there's so many great gags. You know, those two idiot stormtroopers are sitting there, and one tries to shoot a tin can, and he misses it 10 times, and they go, I don't know. I mean, those kind of inside Easter egg jokes, just that's genius, you know, and it's very clever and all. So I loved it. Then I made the mistake of watching, what is this called? The Acolyte, or
the new one that's out.
Holy shit. You know, who let go of the wheel, man? It's so tragically bad.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, that's a tissue.
Movies were like, did you guys see the South Park thing where there's this, you know, the new universe in Cartman?
Yeah, the Pandaverse.
Yep.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. Watch that South Park episode, and that's what I think about the modern Star Wars shit.
That's hilarious.
You know, back in the day, that's really why I wanted to do it. And when I got to do the Sandlot, I didn't get to do. I mean, I could have, but I didn't employ any stop motion. But I mean, I had a ton of puppets. You know, I mean,
that was something I definitely wanted to bring up and talk about. I was, as a child, watching that for the first time. I remember being so terrified of particularly that flashback sequence where it's all in black and white, and then just that first shot of the dog, and I was like, whoa, I didn't know dogs can get that big. That's terrifying.
It's a mutant. He's 6 feet tall. Oh god.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, seeing it in the theater after seeing it on VHS, like my whole adult life, and it's finally seeing it in the theater, I didn't realize how big that dog's balls were.
Oh yeah, well.
When he's running, wow, man. Would you, if you were gonna remake it, would you digitally take the ball?
I don't think so, man.
Let him free, right?
Digitally neuter him.
It's like,
let him free.
The stop motion on the ballage. I love that we're talking about this on us. This is amazing.
It's a big dog, therefore, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, they called him the Beast. That's why they called him. That's the real reason.
Thank you.
That was the real reason.
Yes.
Oh, I was hoping this would come up.
Oh, man.
You were hoping the dog's balls would come up, Max?
He says this every time we talk. It's not just the show.
We got to talk about the balls.
All I remember is those two puppeteers that were inside that suit. Those poor bastards were walking around all day in Salt Lake City, Utah, and it was, I don't know, 112 or something like that. And we had to stop every 5 or 10 minutes, you know, so they didn't die, you know,
right?
Head off and get the guy out of the butt and stuff. And they found those springy steel, you know, flamingo looking legs, you know, those kind of things.
Yeah, like still toes. Yeah.
Those. Yeah. They were goddamn troopers. They were absolutely terrific, you know. And the big suit, I'm not sure if that exists anymore because I think it burnt down when Lazarini's warehouse went up. Yeah. But the mechanical head that leaps over the
fence
and grabs that was a big mechanical puppet head.
Yeah, it's a cool shot.
It also grabs the thing when he's looking down and it shakes the erector set. That still exists. And somebody bought that and restored it.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. But yeah, the Harryhausen stuff, I mean, that's why I used puppets in the movie, because it had to be, the whole movie is told from, you know, a 12-year-old's point of view. And 11, 12 years old, you know, you're looking at Harryhausen movies and stuff, and therefore when you know, imagine what this next door neighbor's dog as a beast, as the neighborhood lore has built this thing. Well, my God, it's got to be 6 feet tall and, weigh 400, 500 pounds, have ratty fur and it would look like that to them. I mean,
Right.
I could have used Jurassic Park and stuff proved at that time, I could have used, the beginnings of that kind of technology, but why? That's not the way those kids in the movie would have experienced it or thought about it or dreamt it or imagined it.
Yeah, I like how you also cut into it like the Wolfman back and forth during the chat, and like that totally evokes this beast, and it adds so much more to it. Like it's such a good move.
I mean, poor Lon Chaney, she's telling him, "You're a fucking monster. You're gonna turn into a wolf and kill people."
Yeah, you're fucked.
Here it comes, the beast. I mean, we had in Pacoima, we had boys club, girls club, and the elementary school, and also the junior high school, which is Richie Valens Junior High. Yes, I went to Richie.
Oh, nice, Richie Valens, La Bamba.
And they would show movies like that. In the summer, they'd from time to time have, I don't know, a scary monster movie that's so it's okay to watch. Today it's my God. I went with one of my sons, a big horror film fan, and we went to oh my God, a horror film the other day. What is it called? Something of violent nature.
Oh
yeah,
Violent Nature.
Yeah.
Where it's essentially movies, let's say 2 hours long, 1 hour and 58 minutes of it is following this fucking dead guy around, following the protagonist around, and then eventually it's like, oh, are those young people in a cabin in the woods? My goodness, and then he kills them all. But that was just slaughter. I mean,
murder porn.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, good Lord. And it's also cheap ass lazy writing too, because how that little kid who jumped off the cliff, if you've seen the movie,
right?
The story is right. He gets killed by when he's, I don't know, 12. Well, that murdering guy is supposed to be that kid. Did he grow in the dirt when he was dead? I don't get it. And listen, I do this for a living, so shit like that drives me out of my mind.
I believe it.
That guy get money, and how did nobody see that? Well, I could make a joke about American politics right now, but I won't.
Oh, we're gonna get into that with Independence Day later.
Absolutely.
I got some stuff to say about that one.
But young Bill Pullman any day.
I hope I didn't. That was another kind of left turn weird shit I did. I'm sorry.
No, I love hearing it.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I love hearing it.
Right.
Who are you, man?
One of my big questions for you, because obviously we're big Star Wars fans here. I mean, Galaxy of Film, our rating system is Star Wars plans, for Christ's sakes.
Nice.
We've had several people from Star Wars on the show. I mean, I have a Rebel Alliance on the tattoo right here. It's great. I got a Han Solo quote right here.
We met because of Star Wars, brother.
Yeah, literally, we
met because of Star Wars. We both met in Anaheim at a big Star Wars show, Star Wars Celebration. That's how me and this dude met. Me and this cat became friends.
Yeah,
ever since.
It's fucking, it's beautiful. So knowing that, because obviously, James Earl Jones is in the Sandlot, so the dying question in mind was like, was this a Star Wars influence, or was one of his other films? It's wonderful to hear that it really is Star Wars. I love that.
Well, yes and no. You want to know James Earl Jones?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So my AD on that picture was a guy named Bill Elvin, God rest his soul. It's one of the best EDs that ever lived. And we were, I don't know, 2 weeks into shooting the movie. I originally had something like 58 days to shoot this, but somebody took over Island World, and that's the company that Mark Berg was running and bought the script and gave me the directing job. Island World LA, there was Island World New York, Island World London. It was John Heyman and Chris Blackwell. Those are the guys that brought Bob Marley to the world.
Okay, yeah.
Nice.
So their Island World Records, they had Island World Films and stuff like that. Well, they hired some guy who will remain nameless. His name was Eric Eisner. Okay, and this guy was a fucking. I mean, he was an attorney. He was Geffen's attorney, and when Geffen went public, he just made obscene amounts of money, and of course, instantly believed he's a creative because I made that much money. I must be a creative.
Yeah.
And, he took over the film and sold it in a negative pickup to Fox, which is how I ended up at Fox. So Fox essentially bought it on the first week's dailies. They saw and they went, "Oh man, this thing looks pretty good," like that. What the fuck was the question? I'm sorry.
Oh, James Earl Jones,
James
just
Earl
talking
Jones.
about him getting involved. Yeah.
So we're about 2 weeks in. They rip a bunch of pages out of the script and go, "You don't need this much time," and leave me with like 42 days. So now I'm scrambling, and we're getting close to shooting Myrtle. We don't have anybody. And I ask Sherry Rhodes, who, God rest her soul, she was my casting director, one of the best that ever lived. And, what we had, there was no ethnicity attached to that character. So she mentioned something about it. James Earl Jones like, I never thought of that. The idea is that he was supposed to play with Babe Ruth, so that's going to be a little wonky because Ruth may have played with the Negro leagues in the 20s and maybe the 30s, but they could never have been in the same league. So this, and then I was on set and somebody said, "Hey man, are we ever going to get a Mr. Myrtle or something like that?" And Bill Elvin goes, "Dave, you ought to get James Earl Jones." And I went, "Yeah, right. We're going to get fucking Darth Vader. Are you kidding, Bill? Have you seen the budget? We don't have any money, dude." And he goes, "No, I think we can get him." And I go, "Okay, Houdini, produce him." He goes, "All right, hang on." So he calls him because it turns out Bill was a first AD on Field of Dreams. And really good buddies with him.
Imagine that picking up that phone.
Yeah, those days it must have been one of those bricks, right? And he sent them overnighted in those days. I guess he could have faxed the script page by page, but he overnighted it. He read it and he called me like the next day or two and said, "David, this is James Earl Jones. Blah, blah, blah. I love this movie," and then he brought up the stuff I just said. I'm African American, blah 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 blah. And I said, "Well, let's fix it." So we fixed it a little bit, and I don't know, a week or less after that, there he is. He's fucking standing on my set. Bill's talking to him. They're laughing and stuff. He's already in costume. He's a big man. I don't know. He's probably my height, maybe an inch taller. I'm 6 feet. But he's just a big man. He's not fat at all. He's just a big human, and with that and with everything that about him being such a magnificent actor, this guy's charisma arrives an hour before he does. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so Bill goes, I'm standing like right in front of him, and Jones goes, "Bill, where's the director?" And Bill goes, "Well, it's David right here." I looked very young at the time. And Jones just goes, "Bill," I said, "where's the director?" He didn't believe that I was the director, right? And so I said, "Look, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, but I really am the director,
Really is me.
Right.
Sorry, the director.
And he goes, oh, okay, blah blah blah. I go, "No, it's all right. I get it all the time, yada yada." And at that time, I'd been shooting, let's call it now 3 weeks or however long, with just kids, and herding squirrels and cats at the same time.
Yeah.
Goddamn impossible. Plus, they're all 12 and 13. They're going through puberty. Hormones are coursing through their veins, and every female crew person, right? is like, they're like, "Oh my God, she's more beautiful. No, she's sexy."
Yeah.
I'm trying to contain this volatile chemical mix. And it was really difficult. And, of course, as much trouble as I had, which, in retrospect, was it trouble? No. I could be laying bricks, but it was a headache for Bill because, he was the first AD. That's his job, is to run around and keep tabs on this guy. Anyway, when Mr. Jones got there, it was just two kids who at the time were the most well-behaved. Benny, Mike Vitar, who was literally that good looking and that good an athlete and that kind. Okay, he was just a super, super good human. And Scotty Smalls, who's had some difficulties lately, and not going to pretend I don't know that. But he was an absolutely solid kid, and Mr. Jones. And during the previous 4 weeks would be an action. Okay, cut. Let's try it one more time. This time, don't look in the camera. Or catching flies, shiny ball. I mean, everything you can imagine about young actors. But now, here's James Earl Jones, arguably the finest actor of his generation. And he, action, and he playing Mr. Myrtle. He comes and he starts talking. He's already fucking Mr. Myrtle. And it's like, even to me, I wrote Mr. Myrtle. I'm like, oh my God, there it is. It's bizarre.
Wow.
Yeah.
Real thing. He just inhabited. I mean, I've worked with tons of consummate, competent actors, but maybe only one or two that had what that he has is this thing that he just inhabits and he is, and all you can do is just admire, and cut. And I'm like, I look at the DP, I go, what do you want to check the gate? I mean, I got nothing else, man. The guy killed it. He nailed it. It can't be done any better than that. And he goes, well, maybe just for a safety. Okay, let's do safety, Mr. Jones would do it better or whatever. But it was like 1-2 takes, done. And, I think
Total pro.
I had him one day. Only one day. He flew in.
Wow.
Shot the thing, slept, got up and left.
Wow.
And, we got along quite well. And when I had the Sandlot 2, this 12, 14 years later, called up and said, hey, could you do me a solid and play Mr. Myrtle again? He goes, oh, David, yes, absolutely. So,
love it.
Come out.
That's nice.
We hung out. I'll tell you this, he is the most gracious man you'll ever meet in your life. Really
I imagine.
Yeah.
I imagine. That's wonderful.
Does it blow your mind, though? Like, you're sitting there and it's just like, it's Darth Vader. You know what I mean?
Imagine
so
what
nice.
the kids were thinking.
He's like, it's a nice Darth Vader.
But Mr. Jones is having breakfast. I think it could have been lunch. Anyway, I think it was a bowl of oatmeal, little paper bowl that you get, from craft service or whatever. He's sitting in our little lunch area where these tables were, all by himself. I think because he just arrived or whatever. And all the guys are standing over, like, kind of near the Sandlot. And he's in this parking lot where we got pop-up shade and all that. And they're, who's going to go? Who's going to go over? And so finally, they either nominated or he volunteered. I don't remember. Marty York. And he was a real little guy, he goes, yeah, I'll go over there. And he's got, like an autograph book and a pen, He walks over there. And I mean, he's this big, dude. Even sitting down, Mr. Jones is a big presence. And he goes, are you Darth Vader? And Jones, without missing a thought or a step, is eating his oatmeal and goes, no, I am your father.
Oh, that's so sick.
And I lost my shit, dude. And the kids were, oh my God, he's a cool. They were so happy. He was Darth Vader, but he was also very cool.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Vader.
Never forget that, man.
Oh my God, that's insane.
And we'd already got along, but at that moment, I was like, this fucking guy is my guy for the rest of his life, my life, whichever happens first. That was like, absolutely, he had them under his spell.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
They were great.
That's beautiful, man. That's fucking beautiful. Oh, Chris, I gotta compare you to James Earl Jones for now, man. We get you in and out for a one-day shoot too. Like,
that was true. Yeah, I'm your James Earl Jones.
Yeah. I always compare Nigel as our De Niro to our Scorsese, or our James Earl Jones.
Yeah, flew me out for one day.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it, man. We're gonna start using that on set. Oh,
Hey,
man.
Dave, I just want to say real quick, I love the music of this film. Like, was that
Mhm.
like a creative choice by you? Like, how did that come about? Like the Drifters every time Wendy's there, so like some of the songs
The
used.
Lion Sleeps Tonight, dude.
Yeah, the Ray Charles talk with the
Yeah,
Mm.
fireworks, and it's
yeah.
like
Yeah.
I
such a
got
good pick.
super lucky with the needle drop. I think
Mm.
what you're talking about. As far as uh the score itself, the composed score,
Yeah,
David
yeah,
Newman, and it's David Newman. He's from the Newman family, and they're everyone
yeah.
was a goddamn musical genius. And he got it. He really got it too. He was a little bit older than me at that time as well, and he got the timelessness, not just the nostalgia, but the timelessness of it. And just think about the beginning, the opening shot, dun 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 dun, in that high, I don't know what is it, C
Mhm.
key is, it's like it's almost, it's on a big boy piano, but it's harkening back to a kid's piano kind of thing,
Mhm.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
fairy tale, or a, hey, remember when you were a kid? So he got it, and he just laid that on with a fine brush, man. But the needle drop,
Absolutely.
a lot of it was from the 10th, and that was me and
No
Dan
shit.
Schweiger, him mostly thinking about it, and playing scenes that we had cut against something. And most of the time, that's the way I work. Is I'll cut something because I cut for my thing is I cut for performance. A lot
Mm.
of directors cut for action or movement or this. I cut for performance.
Mm.
Because that's I'm an audience member first, right? And uh, sometimes if there was a piece of music, like for instance Ray Charles's,
Mhm.
dun, 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 it starts off real slow and all that.
Yeah.
We ended up conforming the scene to that
Yeah.
song on the beat, on the cuts, so that it seemed as though the scene was made for the song and the song was made for the scene. Um, and I mean, dude, I shot that entire night scene in 2 hours. Okay.
Wow.
Really?
In
Wow.
those days,
Whoa.
well, these days too, it doesn't get dark in the summer in Salt Lake City until like 11:30 at night.
No
Yeah.
And
shit.
you can't
Wow.
use kids past, at that time, the labor laws were you can't use them past like 11 or midnight. So we had to get special permission, not just from every parent, but from the teacher and, the SAG, all these people. And it's like, look, they had an app, and there was no, there was only a couple stationary cameras in that entire scene. The rest of it's handheld. And in order to make, we didn't have any CGI. Those are actual fireworks done with, a soft mat on a double exposure. I mean,
Yeah, like a
that's
composite
very
shot there.
difficult,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
had to be that way, and to make it
No,
look
it
like things
works.
were
It works.
exploding on their faces. I mean, we have no time, right? Because I only had like 2 hours at night with them, so I had Tony Richmond, my DP, had the camera on his shoulder, and I'd go, okay, okay, come this way, and I just hold him off camera and go, we're going to Bertram. Bertram, turn around, look up, and he'd look up, and right beside the camera, he cut up an old Fresnels with barn doors on them, and
Yeah.
we had a green
Hmm.
gel on this one, a red one on this one, a yellow one on that, and we just flash them, on their faces.
Oh.
Yeah. That's
And
Yeah.
awesome.
It's
isn't
good.
it?
That's
Okay.
cool.
And simple is almost always better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Old school tricks. Like,
Right.
yeah.
And then the one the one thing, Wipeout, at the end of the movie, right, where he
Hmm.
tickles the beast and stuff, we wanted Wooly Bully, you know
Oh, yeah.
and we actually cut the end of it and the chase scene and stuff to Wooly Bully.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. The publisher just wanted too much effing money, man. You know,
Mm.
Yeah. I was gonna say you probably spent a lot as is because there's a lot. You guys used a lot of music in
we
it.
did,
Like,
but in those days, man, you could get a better deal. I mean, these days it's hundreds and
mm,
hundreds of thousands of dollars for,
yeah, I've heard. Yeah.
or I mean, there's lots of other shit you can do. Like in the Sandlot too, I used Bachman Turner Overdrive song
Mm-hmm.
And if I had bought the original recording, it would have been $500,000. But I know Randy Bachman, who lives in Vancouver, where I shot the movie. I said,
There you
Randy,
go.
go over to the thing. I want to do this. And he goes, well, and this was, remember, this was like, oh, that was 2004, 3, whatever it was. And he says, I just MIDI mapped all my old songs. He goes, because I got pissed off that a lot of my players weren't getting residuals. So he MIDI mapped them and recorded them all again. And you cannot tell the difference. And so I got, like whatever one, but taking care of business, whatever it was, instead of $500,000, I think it was like, I don't know, 30, 40K at the time, something like that. Because we did not have a big music budget. And remember, in movies, well, I mean, not Marvel Universe and shit, but, all of the people like me who, is like, your music budget is $500,000. Okay, that includes the composer, the orchestrator, all of the players, all of your needle drop, recording sessions, and those recording sessions in studios are. It's like you could cure cancer for that kind of fucking money.
Does ADR fall under that too, or no?
It does not. No.
All right.
But yeah, you got to do that as well. So if you've got like a $50,000 music budget, you got nothing.
Yeah, man.
Maybe it was a couple of $100,000 on the Sandlot, and by the time they had seen the film mocked up with its temp track and saw the audience, that's
you sold them. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's cool.
No idea what
move,
the fuck is going on as you're making the movie, right?
That's a smart move,
right? So you get it all. Oh, there you go. You get it all done, and you do the best you can, and you show it to them in front of an audience, and you hope. Well, the second time you show it to an audience, you want to make sure it's not a dud, right? And we did, and they go, all right, yeah, just spend more money, make it as good as it possibly can be, and so, we got lucky. I mean, I got on the Sandlot too. I wanted Spirit in the Sky. And Norman Greenbaum's people, or whoever it was, said, "No, it's $500,000." And I said, "Well, tell them thanks anyway, man." And so I wanted an Elton John song too. I wanted Rocket Man for the thing. I told the guy, he goes, "We're not going to get it." I go, "Look, it's probably direct to DVD. Why don't you just call him? Get one of your music dudes to call." So they called Elton, Sir Elton, and he goes, "Oh, I love that movie."
Oh, there you go.
I'm a fan, right? And he goes, well, what do you want? He goes, like, Rocket Man, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, sure, you can have it. Well, we only got like X amount of dollars. And he agreed to it. It was like $50K or something. And I was like, holy shit balls. Are you kidding me? Sir Elton's a fan? Awesome.
Yeah.
Get Norman Greenbaum back on the phone. And and I said, look, don't be an idiot. Take the money. They took the money. So I got it for $500,000. We got it for like $15K. And it works perfect.
Yeah.
No, it's really it's a special moment in that film for sure.
God, that makes me nervous.
The music's always been a big part of it, man.
Makes me nervous, real, Chris. Like brother, it opens with Queen, it ends with Tupac.
Yeah, good luck.
Gotta start saving now.
Yeah, dude.
You're not going to be able to get Freddie Mercury on the phone, unfortunately.
We're not doing Freddie Mercury. Got a nice Peter cover.
You gotta get the cover band.
God, yeah, the cover band with Queen and
Squeen and Jupac.
Oh my God!
That's your cover.
You gotta get that. My wife is a location manager, and she did that Tupac movie, All Eyes on Me, in Atlanta.
Oh, really? We'll be in touch. Okay, we need to get in touch with you for Brotherhood. All right.
Yeah,
you're involved.
It was sometimes scary.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
That's
everybody from that era that had anything to do with those two guys dying still hate each other.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's it can get a little weird.
Man. Yeah, I know Chris is gonna love it. Opening bit is just like Waynesville, buddy. I know you love that movie to death. Oh man. Well, tying it back a little bit to James Earl Jones again, real quick. Dave, I will say, and I will die on this hill. It's something I'm very proud to say out loud, even though a lot of people give me crap for it, including everybody at work today when I was telling about what I'm doing this evening.
Okay.
I will always die on this. The Sandlot and James Earl Jones' role in the Sandlot is still better than Mufasa in The Lion King, in my opinion. I love him to death.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, you know, I mean, I didn't riff off Kimba the White Lion. Oh shit, did I say that? Dude. You know, remember that when the Japanese animation house that did Kimba the White Lion?
Yeah.
After the Lion King came out, oh, they sued them like, you know, as far as possible. And then suddenly they're like, oh, our mistake. You know, it's not anything like Kimba the White Lion. Thank you. Bye bye. We're going back to Japan now. Dude, they couldn't carry that much money. Okay.
No.
They got to shut up.
Yeah.
However, listen, he was absolutely terrific. But no, he's better. He's Mr. Myrtle, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say, you know, it's as, you know, memorable as Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I mean that was David Prowse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, under
in the suit.
Peter
Yeah.
Prowse and then
I
Sebastian Stan
mean,
whenever
I
he took
think
the mask
Mr.
off.
Myrtle's got going for it James Earl Jones's voice,
Yeah.
and James Earl Jones himself, the physical being.
Mhm.
So it might have an edge there. You know?
Yeah, no, you're right.
But
It's my favorite James Earl Jones role, like where he's physically
Yeah.
on set. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
There-
especially given the fact that he only was in that scene. I mean, what is that? Maybe 2.5 minutes? I mean, I don't know, right? But
Yeah,
it's a
about.
very small amount of time.
Yeah.
And they've given Oscars to people who
Mhm.
were on scene for less than that, right? I'm looking at you, James Judy Jens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm right, but I feel like that scene is the thing that makes the film transformational from a kind of an adventure heist, you know, film for kids that to something that only, I mean, it's something that's very transformative that happens, right? You go from being on this adventure to getting that connection, right? Which is the whole thing, the reason why people love films is they feel some sort of connection to something, right?
Mhm.
And when you have that moment and I mean, it had to have only been a few pages of script, right? And he commanded that. And then with the way that set is laid out with all the pictures and the way you fix the story, because that took some doing, right, to try and make sure that it made sense and create that humanity behind him, because he couldn't see. And I don't know, I mean, what do I know? I'm just a person who likes to watch movies, but I really think that is such a key and iconic point of the film, where it really turns it from being like a kid's movie to being something that's very like transgenerational, right? And we talk about, we brought it up, right? The body, Stand By Me, right? That has a lot of parallels in that there's a really fucking terrifying dog that we think with big balls, apparently. I mean, that's something that's big, right? That we see. They go on their own adventure. There's that beautiful segment at the end of both films where they're like, this is what happened to so-and-so, and this is what happened. You know, none of them, only one of them got to marry Wendy Peppercorn, you know, but I, you know, the end of that where it becomes, again, it's this full circle, like everybody gets older, everybody has an ending to their fairy tale. But it's that whole connected feeling starts at that scene. And it's so cool that it was done by James Earl Jones. He's amazing in it. The kids are awesome in it. But I really love some of the shots too. And look, I'm not a director, I'm not a cinematographer, but I really love some of the ones that it shows all of his baseball paraphernalia. And, you know, I just really thought that whole thing brought it together and made it so much more than just a film about a bunch of kids doing a cool, you know, trying to get a ball. And in reality, it's a very simplistic idea, but it's the simple, you said it, right, Dave? Simple is best. It was,
I think so.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That's what I've heard many, many, many times, more than anything else. And people like the movie for a variety of reasons, but it's the identification. And if you think about it, I mean, when I wrote it, that fence has always been the dividing line between childhood and adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
Then he jumps over, he's going into adulthood, responsibility, you know, the beast could be metaphorical for anything.
Yeah,
Think
whole
taxman,
world of
you know,
problems.
I mean, you know, whatever adult problems are, right? Or the last problem of your childhood is overcoming fear, and they do, you know, they do it because they got to save the dog, even though he's mean and bad. But I mean, it's in Dracula's lion at that point, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that fence was the dividing line, and when he went over, nothing is ever going to be the same for himself, obviously, primarily, but not for anybody else too. It's like when he goes, "Why don't you just knock on the door? I'd have got it for you." You know, and they want to beat the shit out of Squints because it's like he's led them down this path where they almost got killed. You know, yeah, that's you're absolutely right. You're 100% right on the money with that.
Wow, this is awesome, man. I'm so glad that we had a chance to come on and discuss the Sandlot in such detail. I love this movie to death. I've had for majority of my life. This is great.
Yeah.
God, before we wrap up with this part of the podcast, I kind of want to go ahead and give everyone a chance to give their last final comments on the Sandlot before we break to our break segment and move into Independence Day. Will, I'm gonna let you go up first in the chopping block this week, man. What are your final comments on the Sandlot?
Well, of course, I always felt like this is one of the most like iconic movies of my childhood for sure. It was definitely a very defining thing, being able to watch this, and I never really was good at sports, and like going back and rewatching this, I just felt so bad for the main character. I'm like, that was me growing up. I like to watch movies, which is why I'm here, and I like to draw. I'm an artist. I did not have that hand-eye coordination, and so it really seeing kind of aspects of my own life like come out in here. And obviously there's also the whole stuff with the dog. I, as a kid, was so interested in all of that, like the horror movie elements of that. So yeah, I think it's kind of really a perfect film in a lot of ways. I can't. It's where can you? I don't really know anything that you could really say to critique this film. I'm not just saying this because the director's here. So like really, what soulless person would be like? Actually, this part of the plot really like. Come on, like this.
I agree.
There have been reviewers and people like that. Actually, I'm looking at the on the wall here. I've got some of the original, reviews and such, and the middle page of the LA Times, the New York Times, and all that. They took out big ads, and I mean, I was really lucky. The funniest kids since the Little Rascals was one.
Yeah, that's really are great kids.
What?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Instant classic a bunch of times, A+. And even it was one of the films that Siskel and Ebert agreed about like a lot. They just loved it. Charming boys baseball and a big dog, man. That's pretty much what I started with, and I'm stoked that people.
Yeah, there's a reason why we are still talking about this movie today. We all have these stories as a kid watching this on VHS or DVD. And it's a huge part of all of our childhoods. So I want to say thank you for making this film.
I put this movie put 4 kids through college.
Love it, man.
I just
congrats.
Can't say enough about how grateful I am for it.
Congrats.
Thank you.
And it's also really quickly, it's also very inspiring knowing that how young you were when you made this film. Max and I'm 25. Max, what are you, 24?
24, yeah.
24, and we're just starting right now. Max got his feature film written out already. I'm working on a bunch of shorts right now. So we'll see. In just a few years, we might be, you never know what's going to happen. I'm sure when you started filming, you had no idea James Earl Jones was going to walk on set soon. It's kind of insane how quickly these things just come together like that.
While I was writing it, I didn't write it for anybody. I wrote it for me.
Exactly.
And Bob Gunner, who helped me out, he was writing for him. I mean, that's the only way I know how to do anything. Is I work for the audience. I don't work for the executive. I work for the audience, and if I do my job and the audience digs it, and it turns out audiences seem to dig stuff that I think is cool in the way that I put it or whatever. So whatever the machinations of that are, thank you, Fates. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even try to figure out. I'm just cool. But I can't remember what the hell I was saying. I like blanked out 3 times. I'm fucking having a Biden here. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
No, tied into Independence Day. You're good. You're good.
Yeah, we're gonna. I have words for
you
sure.
You do you.
I wrote a prequel to this.
Oh, really?
To the Sandlot, yeah. Which man, I did it 219, I think, and it's called The Legend of the Beast, and it's the story of where the Beast comes from and where Mr. Myrtle comes from, and more importantly, where the Sandlot comes from, because our boys in 1962 didn't build it.
Yeah.
Is that something that's been pitched and like?
Oh, I wrote it. No, Fox paid me to write it. I wrote it, and they love it, But then there was a big change in executive structure, and then there was COVID, and then Disney bought them, and then it's still on their minds because we're doing a different thing I can't tell you about. So I hope Sandlot wise, the things I have left to do to have had an opportunity to sort of flesh out the universe, is this thing that we're going to do, Disney and Fox and I, that's happening, and that prequel,
I'd love to see that.
Then I can.
Awesome.
So man. 1950 takes place in 1950. 12,
that sounds awesome.
Years, yeah, before 62, before the original, and it's the very first group of kids who ever moved into that on that block. That was when it was happening in Southern California, everywhere else too. You had Levittown in New York and New Jersey. It was the 3+2 ranch homes that just started popping up like fucking mushrooms all over the United States after World War II, right? The big Eisenhower building boom and stuff. Well, that's
the
where,
boom.
Yeah, that's where those blocks in that area of San Fernando Valley where we went. Well, we were there all during grade school and junior high. Then we moved, but that's when they all came. They were created, and I want to do it because I would get to recreate, like, I don't know, a 10 square block area, of my childhood, but make it really, really cool because the Sandlot's not my childhood. It's the way my childhood should have been.
Sure.
Right? The way I wanted it to be. So if you can imagine, if I get a chance to do that again, oh man, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd love to see that, man. I'd love to see it. And kind of echoing what you said too, Will. Like, yeah, this is a perfect movie, I'd argue. I love it. Like, for whatever reason, coming of age films are just it for me. We've mentioned Stand By Me 1,000 times, but even more recently, and this may be a hot take to some, but Danilo and I praise the hell out of these movies. The Diary of a Wimpy Kid trilogy is incredible.
Oh yeah, the original ones, yeah.
Jonah Hill's mid-90s. I adore that from the death too. Coming of age movies make me want to make movies, man. And not only is The Sandlot a huge inspiration for my film Brotherhood, which I plan to make be my full first feature, but like, it's affected my friendship over the years. I couldn't tell you how many times as a 17-year-old in our first car, my friends and I are going down the highway or downtown, the windows down, blasting Lion Sleeps Tonight because of The Sandlot. Like it's a ritual for us. Like we just all start screaming a Whimawil. Like it's a thing. To this day, as a grown ass adults, we still do that because of The Sandlot.
Oh man.
Like,
listen, it's had when we were, I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how many people. It's got to be tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. But one of the most profound moments I had was at the 30th get together when they had 3 big screens and out on the Sandlot and people on picnic, what do you call it? Blankets.
Oh yeah.
Just there was not a square inch on the Sandlot. It's about 1.5 acres, 2 acres, maybe more, something like that. And the tree's not there anymore. They cut it down. But anyway, there they are, and I'm there for, I don't know, 14, 16 hours doing what I'm doing. And I go to leave to go back to the hotel, and there's a mom and her daughter are standing near the exit entrance thing, only one way in out.
Mm-hmm.
Mom's probably, I don't know, in her 40s, and this young lady's probably 20 years old, and 19 or 20. They're bawling their eyes out. And I'm like, shit, do you need me to get somebody, you know? And they're like, no, we've been waiting for you. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, what did I do? You know?
What did I do?
There have been times, you know, I don't remember. But anyway, and she goes, no, I just want you to know how much this movie means to me. And I'm like, you know, I always try to be a gracious, thankful person, but it's like 16 hours standing in the scorching heat, you know, doing a lot of, you know, trying to make people laugh and blah, blah. And I was like, okay, all right, you know, how much does this movie mean to you? And she says, my real dad was not nice to me. And I was like, oh. And she's like, really not nice to me. And I'm like, I think I understand what you're saying, sweetheart. And she says, your movie allowed me to call my stepfather, who I really love, Dad, for the first time. And I was like, oh, dude, I didn't sign up for that kind of weight. You know, I mean, I love you too, but wow, you know.
Yeah, it's heavy. That's heavy, man.
You know, just,
Yeah.
and you know, I've had theology professors, man, call me and say, "Can I use your movie Radio Flyer as an example of Christ and the thing of the Christ and these characters and, you know, Christ?" And I'm like, yeah, I didn't mean it that way, man. People heap meaning onto stuff, but this young lady, she wasn't heaping meaning on anything. It just directly, you know, had this massive positive impact on her life.
That's beautiful.
And, I mean, I was just trying to make people laugh, man. You know, I thought it was funny, and it certainly seems to have done that. But apparently, it's done a lot more.
Yeah,
you know, for people
Beautiful
who had
thing.
unfortunate issues like that in their lives. So it just never ceases to amaze me, that little film, ever.
God, but see, making movies is just beautiful, man. I love it, dude.
Oh, I think it's like, you know, teachers. My daughter's a teacher, you know, an artist. So my daughter's also an artist, and I've been both, and doctors and lawyers, and we're all very important, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Artists and filmmakers. I don't know, man. They got to be right up at the top.
Agreed. Amen.
Right, us.
Amen.
Care, you know,
Yeah.
care about other people, and well,
I need that. I need that in writing next to my family judges me, man.
Man speaking truth.
Yeah.
Preach.
Yeah. Gosh. Michaela, what about you? What are some of your final comments for the Sandlot over here?
Oh man, you know, it's such a cool thing to see a bunch of people in this audience, right? In this mixed group, right? We've got people who were, it was like you were -10. You guys are so young, right? When this film came out, and kind of growing up with it. And like I said, like that idea that, you know, I was in my teens when I saw this, but I'm a big child at heart. Like I fucking still watch the Care Bears and shit.
Yes.
You know, absolutely. Totally. And I'm a big crier, right? Like you're talking and I'm like trying not to cry. But I think it's this film is just something it's real special, and it's something that it does a lot of different things. You know, it's a coming of age for sure. It's this interesting story about the step parent, right? And kind of that time where you couldn't really talk to you didn't feel like you could talk to your parents, and everybody's been there. It wasn't, you know, what no matter what age they were, like when you get into trouble and you're like, whatever we do, don't tell the parents. We can't possibly like let them know. We gotta and it created this like really funny hijinks, but at the same time, like all of that connection ends up wrapping it up itself into this movie that has continued to build connections and make people feel. And you know, I am not a filmmaker. You know, I was a real bad actor for a while, and but I will say that it's the thing that I love most in my life about film and theater is building that connection. And you know, again, I promised I wouldn't fangirl, but I kind of did it anyway. But I'm just really grateful. Thanks for making this film. Thanks for being part of it. Because it's super cool. And I honestly I don't think I can't really pinpoint anything I would change. Maybe have the dog have smaller balls. Or you know, or if you could help me, I'm still dreaming about Wendy Peppercorn. She's like 50 now, I think, and she was like a Swiss model or something. I don't know, but yeah, if we could stop time and still have her be 16, that'd be, or however old she was, that'd be awesome. She was beautiful.
Say,
anyway,
better watch
I'm
that,
good.
Michaela. That's a charge.
Yeah, she was an absolute dreamboat.
Yeah. Well, it's such a great, funny scene, right? Where I'm saying she's 16. He's like 12. Come on. This is, they were both consenting children. I don't know. It was a kiss. It was a kiss. But I think, I mean, again, it's the perfect mix of like heartfelt, like endearingness as well as humor. And it's the humor that stays. Like, it's still funny. I mean, I still laugh out loud. It's great. Yeah. So thanks for making it.
Thank you very much. You bet. That's literally my pleasure.
Oh, and Chris, what about you? What final comments do you have for the Sandlot?
All right, I got a few things here. Of course, the great James Earl Jones, but we failed to mention Dennis Leary and Karen Allen's play in this movie.
Yes, Karen Allen.
I love her. Karen Allen's in Animal House with Belushi. She's in Scrooge with Bill Murray, and most importantly to me, she's in Raiders with Indy with Harrison Ford. Yeah. The people she's soaked up like so much. She's like the ultimate actress, in my opinion. She's soaked up all of the Dennis Leary and like she's worked with so many great partners. Like like she's like a blade that's been like sharpened on perfect stones over and over. She kills. She slays in this. She's gorgeous as ever in it. She's oh my God, I love you, Karen.
Biggest crush on her, man.
Still gorgeous.
So, dude, just nice.
That must have been a mind.
Nicest human being,
Yeah, I can imagine.
God, dude. She came back for number 2, even though we had to cut it out. She came back.
Shit.
Damn.
Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
No. All right. So yeah, everybody here, we're all kind of different generations, all mixed up, and we all use forever in our vernacular. It's like generation, like if you put something out there and you know what I mean, you've contributed to society in a good way, and that's admirable, and we need more people like that don't contribute to society to destroy it and shit on everything. You put a good thing out there. You have these weird colloquialisms like pickle and L7 weenie and toasted sugar, and it's so fucking charming. It charms
killing me Smalls
out of me.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
I say that all the time.
That's the s'mores bit too. How can I have more?
Oh yeah. You got the Graham and the Mallow, and it's like, these like weird, like I love it. I love all of it. I can't get enough of that. It's just everything. It's just you put something really great out there, and
did one good thing.
Yeah.
Hey, man, Ace Ventura, that Pet Detective Jr. is great, man.
Listen, man, I thought that movie was funny.
I do too, man. I love to watch it as a kid.
I have yet to see it.
It just, there was no way to convince an audience, go see this movie. It just, but Ace Ventura Jr., thumbs down. I mean, that's what people did, man. And I was like, you know what? Hey, I met my wife on that show, and we shot that movie in Orlando in 207, I think.
There you go. See,
Yeah.
Wow.
it's beautiful. Dave, we will do an Ace Ventura Jr. episode one of
Okay,
these days.
all right.
In your honor, I promise you.
Lots of good stories on that one, man.
Nice.
You know,
Hey, you get
lots
it.
of crazy stuff.
There
Believe
we
it or
go.
not. Yeah.
That's fucking beautiful,
Right.
man. God. Oh, for our listeners and for our viewers here watching the actual video version of this podcast, it's going to go ahead and wrap it up for the Sandlot portion. If you're watching this, go ahead, check out the Apple Podcast and Spotify link down below to listen to the rest of this episode where we're actually going to be coming back and discussing Will Smith's Independence Day. But Dave, we're going to go wrap it up for the Sandlot. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on here for this episode. Thank you so much for coming on here to discuss this masterpiece of a movie. Where can our listeners keep up with you? Do you have social media? And where can they watch The Sandlot other than Disney Plus? Like, what do you recommend? What is the definitive way to watch this?
Well, depends on where you are, but they do have, it's been called, not me, I didn't say this. It's been called the best summer movie of all time. And so, as such,
I
and I've
agree.
been many of these, there's movies in the park, that kind of thing, or the summer movie marathons and stuff. It's constantly showing there. Hey, get the DVD and watch it in 235 on your big bitchin' home, TV, and the bars at the top and the bottom are supposed to be there. Don't say it's broken. Look at it in widescreen. It just gives it this, it makes it the Lawrence of Arabia of kid films.
Yeah.
It's like giant, man. And it feels really good. So if you can look at it like that, that'd be my advice on it.
There we go.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. Gosh. And for our listeners, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break for our video audience members, our viewers. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll stick to you guys next time for the episode Galaxy of Film. But for our listeners, stay tuned. We're coming right back after Shimmer of the Week for Independence Day. So we'll be right back, guys.